T'Challa, heir to the hidden but advanced kingdom of Wakanda, must step forward to lead his people into a new future and must confront a challenger from his country's past.
Welcome to the Walt Vault with
Michelle,
Andre,
Luis,
and me, Emily. We're a family-friendly podcast where we pick a new Disney movie each week. We watch it, share our thoughts, and then relate it to pop culture, fandoms, and anything else that pops into our heads. Enjoy!
hello and welcome to the Walt Vault, episode 38. Guys, what are we talking about this week?
Da Black Panther!
that's my favorite part.
We're talking about Black Panther this week. It is the third week of our Marvel month, something like that.
Yeah, third week.
We're going in on Black Panther this week. You guys, I'm very, very excited because this movie was great. That first impression.
Wow, okay.
Very great.
Because
Very
it was great.
Good stuff. Do I have to preface? Should I? This movie came out on my birthday,
Oh, yeah, and then I bought
February-
you tickets for your birthday.
February 16th.
You were
my
very
birthday.
excited.
It came out during Black History Month. It's a movie set in Africa, mostly, and I was hyped
Why were
Extremely.
you so hyped?
because there's not a lot of those.
I know.
There's not a lot of black superhero movies set in Africa.
And Andre is a black superhero. That's
And
what
Set
I'd
in
like to be
Africa.
set in Africa.
set in Africa.
So I was hyped, and it lived up to the hype. Good stuff. And lived up to it again on this viewing.
I'm surprised you're saying so little because literally when we were watching it, he was like, oh, Black Panther.
He's really doing a really
preparing.
good job.
Yeah, he's doing a
keeping
really
it
good job
undertoned.
of
Yeah.
doing the first impression.
You want to know why?
impression.
It's because he's drank 2 sips of his energy drink, unlike Michelle, who drank the whole can and
Yeah.
is on one right now.
I'm
Yup.
fine.
She's
Yeah,
been
here.
doing that for
A lot
30
of
minutes,
those.
y'all. She's ready.
All right, who else has the first impression?
What's your first impression, Michelle?
No, my first impression
Is that
is...
your first?
I'll tell you what my first impression of this movie was. I was
Please.
obsessed with the music, and I was obsessed with the costuming. The movie has such bright, vivid colors that I was so focused on, like, wow, this is so bright and vivid and beautiful. And it was really nice seeing, like, all the cultural aspects. So, of course, Andre was hyped. I was hyped for it as well. I didn't know much about Black Panther going into it, but I will say that even though it was a Black Panther movie, it was really about the women, and I liked that. So that's my first impression.
Agreed.
I have a first impression that this movie was great.
Emily says it was great.
Pretty good.
It was really good. I really enjoyed it. I agree with Michelle. The cultural aspect of this movie was so cool. Luis and I have seen this movie multiple times now. We literally bought it the moment it became a pre-order option on the Disney Movie Club.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got it, we watched it multiple times. And every time we find something new and cool to see
Right.
in the way that the headdresses or the outfits or like the weird, I don't want to say weird piercings, but like the dude's lip,
Yeah.
it's real scary. But I love it. It's so cool.
Even the dancing, I'm like, oh, yeah, get it.
Oh,
Get
yeah.
it.
I really enjoy the aspects or the areas that they really paid attention to culturally. I thought that was super cool. And the accents. They did a really good job with the
Yeah.
accents in this movie. Except for
The
one
Black
person in particular,
Panther.
and we'll talk about that later.
Oh,
Okay. Luis, first impression.
Great movie.
Great movie.
Where
Very
does
great.
Black Panther scale on your superhero ratings? Like,
Oh no,
is he in the tops
He's
for
definitely
you now?
pretty awesome. He's supposed to.
Is he like top 3?
Comic book wise, he's supposed to know just about every single fighting style on Earth, and then a couple. And then he knows every pressure point on the human body, and even in some extraterrestrials.
He's also extremely smart in the
Yeah.
comics. He's like Tony Stark levels.
It's hard as I'm learning about more superheroes versus just like the well-known ones, you know. It's really hard for me because now I'm just thinking they're all cool, and I don't know who my favorite
yeah.
is anymore.
Welcome to comic books.
It's hard.
Welcome to being a real
like
fan.
I
I've
keep
been
saying
like
Doctor
this.
Strange is, but then like Captain America and Thor have always been on my radar, and now Black Panther's there. It's a tough world out there.
And
man.
Iron Man.
No, that was never on the list.
It's a tough world, though.
That was literally never on the list.
Never on the list.
Okay, who are we starting with? What characters are we talking about?
All of them.
Yeah, all of them. There's a lot of really interesting characters in this film.
I think on the count of 3, we should all yell our favorite character.
Don't
into
yell.
The
The baby's sleeping.
Yeah.
Okay.
No yelling.
We will say our favorite character into the microphone.
Hold on, let me think. I have
Yeah,
to make
wait.
sure I have the right person's name. Can I say 2 people's names?
No.
Well, what?
I got a lot of people.
Luis and I. No.
They're all
Are you
great.
good? You got it?
Mm.
You got it?
Just go. She's
Fine.
gonna
Okay.
do that
3, 2, 1.
Shuri.
Killmonger.
I was going to say Okoye, but Shuri.
Yeah, me and Emily both
Boom.
said Shuri.
And
what did you say? Killmonger?
Killmonger.
Oh.
And what'd you say?
Okoye.
Okoye.
You know I'm obsessed with Okoye.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I love a girl.
Let's start with Shuri because there was 2 votes for her.
Okay, we'll start with Shuri.
Give her the background.
Okay.
Give it the background.
Shuri is
She is
T'Challa,
the
the Black
little sister.
Panther's little sister.
She's the princess
She's
of
the princess
Wakanda.
of Wakanda. She is the smartest person on Earth, I'm pretty
Pretty
sure.
much.
She's basically Tony Stark on crack. Like, she's way smarter than him, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
And she's supposed to be like 16, so boom.
She's super young, super smart, very funny. And it's really cool because she not only designs like all of T'Challa's like superhero tech, but she also designs like infrastructure for all of Wakanda. She developed like a
Like the
crazy
whole city.
light rail system and stuff like that. She's amazing. I
And-
love Shuri.
Well, and the cool thing, the same thing with what you're saying, I enjoy the fact that so Wakanda uses the element vibranium, which is the strongest metal on Earth, and that's kind of like at least the introduction we get for it in the MCU early on.
Yeah.
'Cause we know that Captain America's shield is made out of
Right.
vibranium, and the Starks know about it.
But literally, it does so much more than just
Yeah,
be a
just
strong
be a strong
metal.
It's a
metal.
power source. It
it heals.
yeah, it can heal. It has energy projection and stuff like that. It can do all kinds of
So,
crazy stuff.
the cool thing is that number one, that metal is like legitimate, and they can mine it for millions of years, pretty
They
much.
have so much of it.
But the fact that Shuri can like look at it, understand its properties, and then use it for all of these different things, like she's a total amazing 16.
I also like that
Yeah.
vibranium is purple. Just saying. It's cool.
purple-esque.
It's purple.
You know what? It's pretty much like the healing flower from Tangled. Boom, done.
Whoa.
Oh,
They just didn't know all the things that Tangled's
Yeah.
flower could do.
Okay.
They didn't make shields out of it.
That's their own
Also-
damn fault.
I'm pretty sure that Shuri has some of the best lines in this
Yes, she
movie.
does.
Like, I just
She's
can't with her.
hilarious.
I can't with her.
She's so
You-
funny.
I can't. when she's explaining the new suit technology to T'Challa, and then she's saying like if you punch it, it's gonna absorb the kinetic energy, right? And then if you hit it again in the same spot, it's gonna like
Blast you backwards,
yeah,
pretty
like
much.
emit all of the kinetic energy it stores. She just freaking whips out her video camera on her watch, and he's like, "Why are you filming this?" And she's like, "For research purposes."
Then he gets knocked
hilarious.
out. He goes,
Are
delete
they-
that footage.
Delete that footage.
Pretty much that entire scene is fantastic. Like
Yes.
every single interaction. And that's one of my favorite things about Shuri and T'Challa is that he is literally the king of the most advanced nation in the world. And he has so much riding on him being king. It's so much different than just being president of a
Right.
country because number one, he has to lead them internally. But number two, he has to hold up the facade internationally that they literally are a third world country with like zero resources.
Right.
So he has like the most diplomatic, ridiculous situation ever.
You have to be the best king of a no-name country.
Exactly.
Basically.
But amazing,
Yeah.
right? So it's crazy. And his dad just died, and he's being very he's taking it really well. Not that he's taking it well, but he's being a good king.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing a good job. But the reason I like him and Shuri is that when they have their interactions just by themselves, he is 100% a brother
Yes.
Yeah,
with
that's all
his
he is,
sister.
He
man.
becomes older brother to
And
his
it's-
annoying little sister.
And it's so funny because their interactions are like, you're stupid. You're like, no, you're stupid.
What are those?
Get
You
your
don't-
toes out of my lab.
Oh, you don't like my what does he say? Like his traditional,
My traditional
sandals?
They're totally Jesus boots. Like, they're so bad.
They're hilarious. Their relationship is the best. But going on what you said, Emily, about how he has a rough job, it's so interesting to me because in my mind, yes, this movie is called The Black Panther, but it's really about the women that hold him up because he would be nothing without them.
Word.
He would struggle if he didn't have Shuri, Nakia, or Okoye. Like those three together literally stabilize him for the whole movie.
So
and I think that's why I'm obsessed with Okoye.
So we explained who Shuri is. It's his younger sister who really helps him with all of like the Black Panther side of it. Like his tech, keeping him pretty much safe and healthy because she's been able to make like beads that
Kimoyo beads
that can like go inside wounds and like help him heal and all just these crazy things. So she keeps him safe,
alive
in his suit. And then Okoye is the
bodyguard.
Pretty much his
She's
bodyguard.
She's the lead general.
lead of the Dora Milaje.
The lead general of all of Wakanda, the king's personal bodyguard, and just
She
general good.
is
nice,
probably
cool
the
person.
coolest person in Wakanda, hands down. Okoye is oh man, she got this like spear. All she has to do is have her spear. She has a spear, which of course does a lot of things, right?
Yeah,
Andre?
her spear can expel energy. It can do a little zippy zap shock person thing. It can stab people, as most spears can do.
It can stab people.
You could just do a
But
little
she-
stibby stab.
The thing I like about her is she's so loyal to T'Challa and the king and just Wakanda in general. So we kind of see her go through like a little bit of an internal struggle near the end of the movie.
Yeah, it's
but she will do anything for Wakanda.
Yes.
And she's I like to compare her to Mulan. Like she's just such like a really, really good warrior.
Well, and she
Like,
takes her position very seriously.
Yeah.
She understands that things can change from day to day, but the safety of Wakanda and the safety of the throne is really what's most important, regardless of what she feels internally, like what her personal
just
struggle
like how
is.
she loves what's his name?
Wakabi,
Wakabi, the leader of
the other tribe, whose name
the
the
farmer
tribe.
tribe.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
farmer tribe. She was gonna kill him for Wakanda. She was ready.
Okoye. The tattoos on her head is her rank in the military, like how U.S. soldiers have like their stripes on their shoulders. She tattooed it on her head.
That's legit. That's why there's so
She's
many, because
committed.
she's so high.
Yeah,
That's why she doesn't want no wig.
that's why
She
No
has
way.
the coolest bald head I've ever seen. Andre,
Yeah.
so much better than yours.
Wow,
Wow.
contention.
We
No,
went
but
there.
it's funny because, am I wrong in saying that all of the Dora Milaje have shaved heads?
Yeah,
Yes.
they do.
And I have never seen more beautiful women
Right.
with no hair. Like,
If
my
I was
God.
bald, I would be so ugly.
Me too, man.
So ugly.
But they just like
pull
and
it
their
off.
whole garb is so fantastic throughout this movie because it looks so traditional in an African sense, but also in like a time period sense as to where people think they're at, like third
Right.
world wise. But then it's all encased in vibranium,
Yeah.
so it does some really cool stuff, even though it doesn't
Yeah.
look anything other than like a
Yeah.
little shoulder piece or
Right.
something.
Yeah, the Dora Milaje could be comparable to the what are they called from Thor 2?
The Valkyrie,
The Valkyrie,
Oh,
right?
yes,
They're
the
kind of the
Valkyries.
same where
Yeah.
they protect the country.
That's true.
all the women.
Women,
All the
warriors.
women getting
the,
it.
The Amazons from Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's get some women in here.
Oh yeah.
They gave us all like the
yeah.
women like side bodyguard characters for all the men like number one characters.
Like I
Yeah.
said, they would be nothing. He has to have his women, and especially
Has
Has to have his
his
women.
especially Nakia, because he love a Nakia.
Whoo! I love a Nakia too.
So
you?
Nakia
Hot diggity
is
dog.
his ex-girlfriend,
Yes.
pretty much, which is really
I
funny.
know they have a good relationship, even though they exes.
Yes, they do. Pretty much the long of the short of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that she is Wakandan. They grew up together. They dated and everything, but they pretty much broke up. They don't give a huge backstory, but pretty
No.
much because she knew that Wakanda could do so much more for the world and for people who are either refugees or people who are struggling out in
Being
the world.
oppressed,
You
yes.
know, and so she wanted to go out and do things to help,
Right.
and not so much that he didn't want to help, but it was that because she just felt that need to go, she left.
She had to go.
You know, and so she's out in the world when we start the movie doing like fighting the good fight, and
Doing
they
spy stuff.
yeah, and they call
She's
her
a
home.
war dog, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
she's a war dog.
So they call her home because T'Challa is going to fight for the mantle of Black Panther as the actual king of Wakanda. So that's why she ends up coming back. So it's really interesting to see their relationship kind of re-blossom, I guess. Not that we saw it blossom the first time,
Right,
but
yeah.
to re-blossom. And I appreciate that they didn't fight a whole bunch. Like it wasn't like
No.
a
It wasn't like a heated argument. It was
No.
just like a disagreement that they had.
Yeah.
An
Which
ongoing
is kind of the
disagreement.
basis of this movie, this disagreement that we are a nation that's hidden and have all of these millions of resources really
Right.
that could help
And they're
people who are,
thriving
are oppressed in the world.
for themselves, but they don't.
But they don't share that knowledge with the rest of the
Right,
world.
they don't help anybody else.
So
For
let's
good reasons.
So let's take it back, because I think one of the most important scenes in this entire movie is literally the opening scene.
Which is so cool.
So pretty much you don't know as of the moment when it happens, but you hear Killmonger's dad, right, telling the story of how Wakanda came to be.
Right.
Andre, do you want to take this away?
It's really cool.
It's so cool.
because they frame it all in like animation,
cartoon, yeah.
but it's all used with like the vibranium dust that comes out of
Mm-hmm.
the Komoyo beads and in the table
And
setting that they have on
giant
the ship.
meteor that crashed into Africa.
So a giant meteor crashes into Africa very early in Earth's history. That meteor contains vibranium. So 4 tribes, become Wakanda, take the vibranium and start using it, and
They're always fighting.
well, no, they're cool with each other, but they're fighting with the 5th tribe, which is the Jabari tribe,
Right.
who didn't want to use the technology from the vibranium. I don't remember why.
They wanted to just be traditional.
Yeah, I guess so. We're gonna be out here in the mountains. You guys kill it with the vibranium, I guess.
So pretty much they move to the mountains, become the mountain people, and the rest of Wakanda continues to thrive, but also conceal themselves for
Right.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
So
I'm
cool.
assuming still the Jabari are hidden. Like, I think.
Yeah.
Do you think they're inside that shield, or are they outside of that shield?
I think they're outside of the
probably outside
shield.
of it, but
But they're still
they're
Wakanda.
still hidden in the
they're
mountains.
still Wakanda,
yeah.
and people don't know about them. I don't think. Yeah.
So Killmonger's dad, Eric, what is his name? Eric.
Yeah.
Eric Killmonger, right?
Is that
Killmonger's
that's
real
not his
name?
last name. That's
Hang
just
on.
what they monikered him as.
Stevens. Eric Stevens.
Oh, Eric Stevens. So he continues to tell him the story of their people, and explains how, the rest, they stay hidden from the rest of the world. And then eventually, pretty much spies. I mean, it's not supposed to be spies, but spies are sent out to every nation in the world so that Wakanda could have, satellites pretty much
Yeah.
everywhere. And so his dad was sent out to the United States, and he ended up in Oakland, California. So that's where where the story starts.
Right, in the 90s.
In the 90s, they're
Yeah,
playing
90s.
they're playing their basketball outside, and he's hearing about Wakanda. So he knows about Wakanda as a child living in the United States. So he was brought up here because his dad, who is from Wakanda, married
a girl,
Yeah.
here.
I don't think
Where
married.
we're at.
I think he met a girl.
Well, met a girl and
Met a girl.
yeah, had
did,
a baby.
did the things.
Yeah. Impregnation.
So from there,
From there,
T'Chaka comes.
yes, T'Chaka makes a visit to Oakland to confront Njobu because he finds out that he has betrayed them. He has betrayed Wakanda by teaming up with Claw and stealing vibranium.
Officer Clawhauser.
Officer Clawhauser. Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine?
Killer Claw. That's what I call him. Killer Claw.
Killer Claw. What's his name in the comics? I think it's. Is it just the Claw? I can't remember. if
The
it's-
Claw.
It might just be.
Ooh.
It might just be Claw. Yeah, I think it's just Claw. In the comics, his robo arm is like really silly looking. Like it's,
Yeah,
like
he was
it's,
silly looking in this movie.
like
okay?
it's just like a bunch of circles attached to the end of his fist or whatever.
Like a nub.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
ba-bam.
yeah, it's a little nub. But yeah, so he teams up with Claw. They steal the vibranium, and T'Chaka finds out because he sent another spy to the U.S., Zuri, and he's been spying on Njobu this entire time.
They've been double spying.
Double spies.
Spying.
Spyception.
Spies. So when Njobu finds out about Zuri, T'Chaka has to take him out.
I'm kind of
Because he was
sad.
gonna kill
Zuri, yes.
So it's sad because
It's very sad.
pretty much he had to kill his own brother because he ratted out Wakanda, and that was the only.
He was the radical at that point.
And yes, and that was
Right.
the only time at that point where Wakanda had ever been found out by an outside source. And sadly, you can't really be upset with what is his name? Njobu.
Njobu, yeah.
Njobu Killmonger's dad, because he was being quote unquote radicalized because he was living in the middle of Oakland, watching the injustices that happen, and he was like, again, what the heck? He kind of did a Nakia, like Nikita didn't betray Wakanda, but he was like, dude, there are resources there that could help all these people.
We should be helping.
Maybe teaming up with Claw, that probably wasn't the best idea at all.
No,
because people died, and
but you can understand where his heart was.
Exactly.
And so that's what he passed on to Killmonger was there is a place with resources that could help the rest of the world.
We should be using it to help the rest of
Killmonger
the
is
world.
probably the most complex villain since Loki in the MCU to me. Like, Loki was very complex. We loved him, we hated him, we were very torn about things that Loki did, and it's the same thing with Killmonger.
Yeah, it's very they do a great job of explaining to you the motivations behind all of Killmonger's actions throughout the movie. Everything that he does has a pretty good justification behind it, except
even if it's crazy.
all of his murder.
But hold on, pause there, because you can sing the song early in the episode this time.
Dun 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 dun. Early battle.
Luis.
Is your mic on?
All right,
There
guys.
it
I
is.
know it's a little bit early into the episode, but because we're already having that discussion, I decided it'd be best to address this battle now.
Okay.
So, in your guys' opinion, is Killmonger really a villain in the core villain definition? Ready, go.
Okay, so first of all, I have one thing to say, and there's one moment that happens in this movie where, listen, I feel for Killmonger. I totally, completely understand what he's doing, but there's one thing he said at one specific moment where all of Wakanda, who was watching at that moment, should have been like, oh. He's talking about when he's doing the ritual combat with T'Challa. He takes off his garbs, and you see him. Basically, he has a burn mark on him for all of the kills that he's done.
The little cuts.
He's extremely smart. He's trained for years, right? And he's killed. And he goes, I've killed people in Iraq. I've killed people in Afghanistan. I've killed my own brothers and sisters right here on this continent. Right when he says that, you should have been like, what? Because his whole premise was, I'm going to help all of these people who have been oppressed. Yet he's just admitting that he'll kill anybody who gets in his way, even if they're his quote-unquote brothers and sisters of the same color. So right then, they should have been like, huh?
Like, back it up, bro.
Like, what did you
Hold
just
up.
say? So that moment right there, yes, I completely... As much as I love Killmonger, all villains, even Loki, they have this backstory. Something's happened to them, maybe in their early childhood, that has scarred them and has turned them into the person they are today. But there is a point where there's a turning point when you start killing anybody for any reason that you become radical and you become a villain. So in that sense, he is a villain because he's willing to kill whomever, basically. But is his premise, like his idea, like in the right place?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his heart's like in the right place. But a lot of villains' hearts can be in the right place, but they're still a villain.
Correct. I tend to agree with you. I think that his motivations are all there. They're all good, but the steps that he takes to get to the resolution that he wants is really villainous.
Okay, hold on. Pause
plan,
though.
Oh, okay.
Pause back. So we were talking about how our Black Panther's dad goes and kills his brother, which is Killmonger's dad.
Yeah.
So explain what he walks into once he sees the Wakandan spaceship fly out of the sky, because he knew, right? As a kid, he saw this spaceship come.
He
and
knows
leave,
what Wakanda is. Yeah.
and then he walks in, and what does he see?
When he walked into actual Wakanda?
No, his
No,
apartment,
his apartment.
as a kid.
He
Oh,
sees
right,
his
yes.
dad
He
is
sees his dad dead with claw marks in his chest.
So number one, he sees Black Panther just kill my dad, and his uncle, who was the other spy pretty much, is gone. So he's like, okay, well, I know now that my uncle was a traitor and my dad was just killed by the leader of Wakanda.
He doesn't know why. He doesn't
No,
know
and
what he
for him, what other reason would he have?
But
But that's how villains kind of become to be. Something
Yes.
usually happens.
No, yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying that's
And
a
if
good like.
T'Chaka's
Oh yeah,
big
it's good
old
motivation.
dumb kitty cat head would have just taken Eric back to Wakanda with him, then that would have.
Yeah, that was a dumb move. We all know that was a dumb move.
He
though.
left him in Oakland to just fester and become evil.
But because he has so much, and I can't remember I think it's Okoye. She understands where he's coming from, or even some people do, but she goes, you have so much hatred in your heart that you're not fit to be a king.
Right.
Because that's all he cares about. He doesn't care necessarily about the people of Wakanda. He cares about, this is what's happened, I'm going to do this. Like, that's his motivation.
That's the thing, is that
you know?
he knows that Wakanda has these resources, and he knows that he can use them to improve the world in his mind.
to take over the whole world.
Exactly. That's the thing, is that his whole plan is to kill everybody in power to take over the world,
And
when
then I think,
theoretically, like T'Challa does at the end of the movie, he can use those resources to improve the world without
And
all
then
of the death and
I
destruction.
think it's T'Challa when they're fighting, and he goes, "You're literally," because they're always talking about the colonizers, like these people did this to me, or whatever. But and then T'Challa says, like, you're literally becoming the colonizers, like you're doing the same thing they did. And he said, "Nah, I've been with them for so long, I'm going to beat them at their own game."
Right.
Well, and
So
that's
he's
one of
choosing the wrong way.
Well, and that's one of the things he says when he comes into power when he beats T'Challa at the mantle, or we think that he beats him at the mantle for Black Panther, and he goes and sits on the throne. He's like, we're putting Wakandan weapons in the hands of everybody.
Right.
And I know that's what you're saying about him going out to kill people,
In the
but
hands
like
of the oppressed.
he literally wants to cleanse the world. And hello, that's literally an issue no matter which way you put it. You know,
Borderline Thanos there. Okay, come on.
he's going to kill half the population. He's like, let's see.
He would have met Thanos like, I like this guy.
Yeah, Thanos probably would have. He would have been like, I can work with him.
I can work with that. What do you think, Lou?
I don't know.
Since he's your favorite.
Give us
I
the...
don't want to say he's really a villain, simply because, on the other hand, you have a character such as the Punisher who believes the only way to truly better someone's situation is to put people in the ground.
Sure.
Because if not,
Punisher's
they'll keep coming.
technically a villain, too, though.
Okay. Is he, though?
To me, all villains are complex. This is a psychologist speaking in me. All villains are complex, and I feel for all of them.
But John Bernthal,
But at
though.
the end of the day, they're a villain. Punisher, I don't consider a villain.
I think,
no.
like, okay, so, like, if you're, like, there are people in America, like any black senator in America right now, right? They're in the system. They're doing their best to make things better or whatever, right?
They're not killing everybody, though.
But exactly, like Killmonger's plan is to put weapons in the hands of people who would go and take out those black senators straight up.
That's an issue.
Yeah,
He's willing to stoop to the levels of people who have oppressed his ancestors.
So are you
He's
telling me
like,
he's
let's
going to
just
go
do
up in
it.
there and kill Obama?
Dude, that probably would have been his plan. He would have said Obama's not doing enough.
That's an issue.
That's an issue.
It is an issue. He's radical. And there's this... Do I think that in his heart he's coming from a place of the right thing? Yes. But also, if you think about it, he didn't have a dad. He probably went to the foster system after this. He had nobody. All he could remember
mom wasn't there.
is what
Right.
happened to him, you know? So, yeah, he's gonna go a little crazy.
It just kills me, though,
Which is
because
unfortunate.
he went to, like, MIT. Okay.
Oh yeah, when he graduated when he was 19.
Yes, he was in the
extremely smart.
Marines. It was the Marines, right?
Yeah, I believe it.
He went through all of I understand he probably saw a lot of very awful things too in his wartime, because he was right in the middle of our recent knowledge of war.
Yeah.
Right. He probably went to Iraq.
He said
He
Iraq
said
and
Iraq,
Afghanistan. But it's just so sad that, like, he went through all of those experiences and it didn't, like, try to pull him to kind of come back to the humanity side
Right.
of it. You know what I mean?
He always had the hate in his heart because of what happened to his father.
And he's not easily convinced. And there really is a turning point at the end of the movie where, you know, T'Challa stabs him and he takes him to see the sunset. And he's like, listen, we can save you. Because he understands, like, what's happened to him. He's like, no. But, like, that's a point, too. Like, he's at his lowest. Like, he knows he's going to die. And at that point, T'Challa can save him. And, like, you know, but he didn't want to.
That's a reason to respect him. Like he really sticks
He
to
was
his
really
guns
stuck- yeah.
about about everything.
It's called commitment,
Everything
y'all.
he believes in. He's
And in that moment, I
bury
was
me in
like,
the ocean
yeah,
like
come
my
on,
ancestors.
save him. You guys can use him. Like, he knows a lot about the world. Like, and T'Challa, you know, wants to help the world now. He could probably have gained a lot of knowledge from him, but he's so stuck in that mindset of, like, the world is evil because he's been traumatized. It's really quite sad.
I can't honestly say he's a villain because
You
I
okay?
don't believe he wants to watch the world burn.
And I think he does.
I don't think so. I think he wants to see a different world.
Well, yeah, and
You
I
know?
agree.
I don't, and that's where.
But like Red Skull wanted that too.
for
you
me,
know?
it's,
Well, and so did Hitler. I mean, let's get
Exactly,
real.
Yeah.
But I'm not. But
No.
the reason I even throw that out there is because I agree he wants a different world. But what does it take to get the new world?
Right.
His
It's-
means
it's-
of
that's
doing
the
it.
It's
problem.
the actions that he's taking. That
If
make
he
him a
saw,
villain.
if Killmonger saw us right now at this table, he wouldn't hesitate to kill any of us.
No, he wouldn't kill me or Andre.
Yeah, he would.
He would if we were against his ideals.
We're against his ideals, yeah.
Which you are, right? You don't want to kill a bunch of people, do you?
No.
He's
So
like,
exactly.
not
He would
today.
kill us, and that's what makes him a
Maybe tomorrow,
villain.
but-
Is that you
Joking.
cannot turn his mindset to be de-radicalized. So, like,
Yeah.
it's extremely sad. Like, I love Killmonger. He's absolutely amazing. Like I said, he's literally, and the reason that Luis doesn't want to say he's a villain is because he's one of the most complex villains we've had or seen.
And because he's right
on film
about a
so
lot
far.
of
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of things.
But that's what makes this movie so good.
Yeah.
Is
Talk
that
about-
hold on? I want to say why I think he's villainous. But the one of the best parts about this movie is that we're having this conversation. He is not wrong about any of the ideals.
Right.
It's the way that he goes about it, right?
Yeah.
But the moment I was like, ooh, was when two things. Number one, he burned all of the
heart-shaped
purple
herb.
heart-shaped herbs.
Mhm.
He doesn't care about Wakanda.
No, but that's my
Yeah.
point, is that the reason I think he's a villain is that he wanted to come there, but he does not care about Wakanda.
Right.
He wants to be called Wakanda and he wants to be a part of it, but then he has zero respect for any of the things that have happened there. He doesn't want anyone else to oppose him, and so he's going to literally, like
Going
you
the
said,
fair route.
Right.
he's literally going to take over, get rid of any other type of opposition, and then he literally puts the whole country against each other. Like at the end of the movie,
It's so
the
sad.
cool fight scene is really the entire country infighting.
Yeah.
Which is
Warring against each
extremely
other.
sad to think about.
He
Like,
has-
how many of those people just killed each other?
Brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Like,
He has a ton of great
Because of a
ideas, but he also
radicalized-
has no patience and no forethought, like
No.
at all. Like in order
don't
to
care.
continue carrying out this perfect vision of the world that he wants, shouldn't there be a couple more Black Panthers along the line?
and
Doesn't he wanna-
don't you think there should be like as many Wakandans as possible so
Right.
we can get this to happen?
to help out?
Nah, let's
No, no, no.
kill
No, let's
half
just-
y'all.
Listen, y'all ain't paying attention. Y'all ain't listening. We have to do this now. I've been king for a day and a half, and the world hasn't been taken over yet.
I don't even think
So
it was
what?
a day and a half. It was
We
like
got-
4 hours.
We got 3 votes for villain and 1 for no villain.
Yeah, I can't say he's a villain.
Okay.
villain.
I
All right.
appreciate
That's good.
your thought though, Lou.
Yeah.
Because
And
I think
He is.
let's see, cried when he died for sure when I was in the movie theater. I was like, what? I cried.
what?
Killmonger, no.
Especially when he says that thing, babe, you can say the thing.
What thing?
What does he
Oh,
say
oh,
before
when-
he dies? Before he like pulls
The best quote of
sword
the
out
whole
him?
thing.
The whole that
When
yeah,
the whole
that-
theater was dead silent
like
after.
one of the most powerful lines in the movie is when T'Challa says, "We can still heal you." He says, "Why? So you can lock me up? Nah, just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors who jumped from ships because they knew death was better than bondage." It's like, yikes! Oh,
Wow, I just got
got us
really
again.
Ooh, I got teary. I'm teary-eyed right now because that is so intense.
pow! Right in the feels.
Yeah.
Got me.
Thanks, Marvel. Thanks, Disney. Thanks.
Well-
What's the director's name?
Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler.
Well, and you know what's really interesting? I want to have a very short conversation on this because we can get so deep, and I
Right.
don't particularly want to get that deep. But Luis and I looked at each other, right? Because that's literally
You saw
almost
it in
the
theater,
end of
right?
the movie.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we saw it in the theaters, and that's almost like right at the end. Luis and I looked at each other when the movie was over, and I looked at him and I said, you know, that was so powerful, but I was afraid that people would like take that and like take it in a negative way, like,
Okay.
oh well, is I'll just say it. All these black people trying to get crazy. Like,
Right.
I'm glad
Yeah.
nobody went there.
I don't think
Like
so,
everyone
no.
really appreciated like what they were
Especially-
trying to do with
Yeah.
it. I really appreciated
I
that.
honestly think it's because of the time that we live in right now, and a lot of this is so relevant to what's going on. It was a good time for a Black Panther movie to come out, really.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. It was
I don't
very
think
well
it was
done.
smart. I don't think they marketed it that way on purpose. It was time for the Black Panther movie to come out. But, you know, that's the thing about some of these movies. Things happening in real life. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This
It was-
movie
it
being
was
as
beautiful.
powerful as it is it was like really surprising and satisfying.
Oh,
This movie
100%.
came out.
It was
I-
nice
it-
to see. It was nice to see kind of the full circle, what it could do, what it could mean to change the world, or mindsets, or
Right.
Yeah, it's great.
it was really nice.
Like T'Challa, he's changed at the end of the movie because of what Killmonger says. He's like,
100%.
I should probably step it up.
Well, and let's talk about that for a second. So, can we agree that the battle is de-battled?
The battle is done.
Done battle.
I think the coolest thing about T'Challa is that, like we said, he has like the worst job in the world.
Yeah.
Even though for him, he's
still
totally
learning.
about it.
Right.
But he's a king.
Mm-hmm.
He's a diplomat. He needs to try to figure out what to do as a young person because his dad was Black Panther for
years.
I mean,
decades.
and decades. So now his dad literally just died. He's grieving. The whole the country's kind of like looking at him like, you need to figure this
Right.
out. And then he has people in all aspects of his life asking him to do more.
Right.
But then the elders are all saying like, nah, we doing what we've always done.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's really interesting to see his character development move throughout the film, and then Killmonger really is the deciding piece. Even though you kind of wish it was Nakia,
I think it's
it was
Right.
like
Yeah.
it was a little
It
bit
was
in the
all
back
of
of
it.
his head.
Yes.
I think it's Killmonger helped, but I think of it as something different. I think when he found out
What his father did.
what his father did,
Well,
and,
that's true,
and you
too.
know they save him, so he's gonna die, and they steal the herb, and he goes to the
Jabari.
Jabari
no,
tribe.
what's the world? The
the land of the Panthers.
okay, yeah, he goes
The
there.
land of the Panthers.
He goes to the ancestral plane again.
Yes.
And I think that moment when he sees his dad again, and he ain't grieving over his dad then. He
that's
literally
true.
yells at his
He
dad. and
yells
says,
at all his grandpas.
He's all,
Hey!
he's all, you guys were wrong. And they're like, no, come to us. It's time to die. He's like, no, you guys are wrong. I'm going to fix it. I think that was the turning point
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
Of course, Killmonger was involved in that, but I think that's when he finally decided, like, no.
But I wonder had he not had that Killmonger influence, if that would have been as powerful. If
Right.
he had just found out, like, well, my dad killed someone and it wasn't, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
But if he was like
And he
still
tells me,
king
he's
and
like,
there
"You
wasn't a huge
created
threat
this.
against his entire country,
He
like what would he
created
have
this
done
dad.
then? Yeah.
It's true.
damn T'Chaka.
Can
Yeah,
we talk?
T'Chaka.
Can we talk about my second favorite character, M'Baku?
Yep.
M'Baku, the leader of the Jabari tribe.
So listen, there's Killmonger,
Man ape.
and then there's M'Baku, who kind of
Is scary at the beginning of
feels.
the movie.
Yeah, he is scary with that monkey mask. He kind of feels the same way. He doesn't want. Well, I guess he's on the opposite end of the spectrum. He doesn't want them to use vibranium at all, right?
Right. Yeah.
You guys been using your crazy things or whatever.
Technology.
He's on the other side of the spectrum.
Well, for
But
him, I think it's
love
different
him.
because he wants the cultural aspect of their country, the
To stay
integrity
alive.
to stay alive.
Right.
And I know his biggest problem, or one of his biggest problems, is with Shuri.
Right.
Because she, number one,
Doing
is a
too much.
child.
Yeah.
She's doing too much, and she's changing everything that he feels is good about Wakanda.
I think he probably thinks that she's like erasing their culture.
Oh, 100%. And and even her little snide remarks throughout the movie about like this corset is too tight. Like, let's
Right,
take it
yeah.
off. Let's go. And he's like, you need to respect what we've built here, child.
Yeah.
Like, calm down. And you can kind of
I
can
love
feel
him.
with him. Like, I can feel.
I love him.
I wish I had that kind of culture in my life where I could be
Right.
like, no, that is something we're
He's
keeping.
a traditionalist.
Yes.
And I even like when, T'Challa's alive now and he's like, man, I could really use an army, M'Baku. And he's like, yeah, I bet you could. No.
Not
Like-
my army.
He's like, oh, so now you're saying it's us when you're the first king in centuries to come see our tribe.
Right.
He's like, nah. I love him for that. And then, of course, they end up fighting in the end because he's like, okay. Like, he's changing, so
Yeah.
we'll change too.
M'Baku here to save the day.
M'Baku is...
No.
I
Let's
love
be real.
him.
M'Baku's in his freaking super cool throne room,
Mm-hmm.
and he's looking down on the mountain, like looking down, and he's like, "Wow, everyone's dying down there." So I'm gonna pretty much go down there and save their all butts.
I'll save them all.
I love him, though.
In the comics, M'Baku he's a villain. He's known as the man ape.
Yes.
He wears
The man
He
ape.
wears
He
a
is.
big white gorilla suit, and he fights T'Challa on many occasions. But I really appreciated the interpretation of him in this movie. Where
They still scary monkeys.
he's
man.
a leader. He's a vegetarian.
Now we
No, let's talk about that though. So apparently his joke about being vegetarians is really funny because so originally he is ape man or whatever,
Man
ape because he ate a white gorilla.
Yes.
So he got his powers from eating a white gorilla, but then gorillas mainly eat fruit, leaves, and seeds, so they're vegetarians, so now they're vegetarians.
Vegetarians after he ate.
That is so funny.
Hey, yeah, I'm going to eat this gorilla, but then I'm going to be a vegetarian. How we feel about that?
And the
Boom.
difference, I like, we'll talk about this in a second because it's some of my favorite moments in the movie, but he does yield, when he's fighting. He's not radical enough to be like, nah, kill me. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
He knows his people need him. I respect M'Baku a lot. I really, really like him.
Well, that's one thing we haven't talked about. Let's talk about the
ritual combat
the ritual
ceremony,
combat.
which is my favorite moments in the entire movie.
That's,
oh my god!
That scene is shot beautifully. It looks so good.
How did they get on that mountain with all the waterfalls? I need that in my life.
It's extremely bright. There's like dozens and dozens
Yeah.
of colors.
All the
on
tribes
everybody.
are a different color. They're dancing. They're getting it. It's great.
It looks really good.
They
So
getting
good.
it.
I remember when we saw it on the big screen, I literally was like, this is going to win an award. Like, I was hating Andre for all the costuming.
It
and
was
everything like that.
cinematically very beautiful. Even the lead up to that particular scene, you see so you know that it's going to be ritual combat because you see everyone dancing. They're coming up on like river raft type things.
It's so
And
cool.
literally, who was it? Was it Angela
it was-
Bassett? Was it her who did it?
No, it's Okoye.
Okoye?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
so
right,
she
yes.
hits her spear on the raft, and literally the water opens up.
So cool.
And
They control an entire waterfall.
they control a waterfall to stop flowing
Yeah.
in certain areas so that they can walk down the rocky waterfall so that they can all watch this ritual
It
combat.
was absolutely
Super
amazing.
cool.
It's
Best
just
amphitheater ever.
seriously, right? Just be
So
slippery
awesome.
on those rocks.
Yeah.
I
But
feel like a real mermaid in there.
I won't lie to you though. There's one part that Luis and I laughed about so hard in that scene. So everyone looks like they're in their cultural garb, right? And you can kind of tell where they're from because some of them are like green, some of them are like bluish or orange
Yellow.
or
Yeah,
red.
the different
purple.
tribes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, literally, the green ones, which is I think the mining. That's where is that where Nakia's from? It's that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe they're mining, but I'm not. I don't remember exactly.
Well,
different
the
tribes.
issue here is that
That they wear suits.
they were wearing Nikes.
They were?
Imports, baby.
Luis was like, "Excuse me, what? Why are they wearing?"
They were?
Nikes?
I didn't even notice.
There was one people wearing Nikes, and there was other ones wearing like Air Force Ones.
Oh, really? Oh my god.
That's hilarious.
Like, stop.
I
Well,
gotta
they
go back
do
and
dress
look
a
at
little
this.
bit kind of fancier.
Yes.
Like that one dude's always in like a suit.
Yeah, and like
Like
a
a-
super green suit. The guy
Yeah.
with
With
the
the
lip ring.
Yeah.
It's funny though. But Luis was like, "Where they be getting their fancy tennis shoes from?"
I told
Excuse
Andre
me.
I would have been from the
Amazon.
purple tribe because I liked all the purple.
Oh yeah, their costuming was just like on another level.
Sneakers.
Yeah, sneakers.
Sneakers.
I mean, I think those guys that were wearing the Nikes have to have been war dogs, or else how would they have gotten them?
right.
You know, and maybe they were spies planted in there by Kilmonger.
Ooh.
They're like, I'll give you these fresh pair of kicks if you go and spy for me.
Sneaker spies.
There you go.
Sneakers.
But it all looked like Em said, very much traditional. And then
Yeah.
I actually caught it because I was like, wait a minute. I rewinded it. I'm like, how come all these peeps are traditional? And I mean, this guy has
They
a
got
suit, but
Nikes
it's still
on.
somewhat traditional. And then there's these two peeps I have. Obviously, they have to be Nikes.
it's
like she
interesting
said.
because Wakanda, they're very well, not very, but they're super traditional, and their culture is very enclosed because they have very little contact with the outside world. But they do bring stuff in from like Western culture and stuff like that. Freaking Shuri made shoes based off of Back to the Future. So
I
it's not
know,
like,
right?
It's not like they don't watch American movies or consume American products. It's just that they gotta get them from the outside.
I absolutely love that too because they don't actually say Back to the Future anywhere in
Right.
the movie, but they're like, yeah, it's from that movie that
Dad used to
that
watch.
old movie that Dad used to watch, and it's the self-lacing shoes from
Yes.
Back to the Future too.
Oh, so cool.
Which is funny because they're so much cooler too. Which I get that movie was made like in the 80s or 90s or something, but it's really hilarious because that's what their future looked like.
Yes,
and these future shoes are so much cooler.
Way more futuristic shoes than the Back to the Future shoes.
You step on them and they pretty much do the work for you.
And they're quiet.
Oh yeah, that was cool. Zero sounds. That
Zero
was
sound. Awesome.
That makes sense for a Black Panther though. He doesn't need to be clip clopping into
right.
the
clip clopping.
So yeah, no.
It's me, the Black Panther.
Hello. You know, one really cool thing that I found out when I was doing some research on this movie is that the Black Panther, two things. Number one, Black Panther predates the Black Panther Party.
Yes.
In the United States. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
There's a fun fact.
How did you know that? Oh, from Andre. Okay.
What was it? Black Panther came out on that Fantastic Four series
yes,
for the first time.
He showed up in the Fantastic Four in like the
early 60s.
Hang on, let me see.
It was like 5 or 6 years before the Black Panther Party became prevalent.
Yeah.
Probably about 59, maybe 60.
Yeah, it's a Stan Lee creation.
Stanley.
I don't have the exact
Lily.
date, but that's fine. But okay. So fun fact. This movie has been in production since like the 90s because Wesley Snipes, the actor who played Blade, he wanted to make a Black Panther movie. And so when he was first getting together with Stan Lee and Marvel to help make this creation and getting writers together, all the writers that they hired were confused and started writing scripts about a superhero who came from the Black Panther Party, who was Black Panther in that way and not like a Wakandan king.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not the same,
which
sweetie.
Is crazy.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
That would have been a way different story.
Yes, a very different movie.
Well, I mean, would it? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I would have.
It could have had some similar themes. I know. But very different.
But I think that's
really
cool.
A lot more AK-47s in
right?
the Black Panther Party
and
movie.
berets.
Yeah, a lot more berets.
Can you imagine him in a beret? That would have
so
been fantastic.
many leather jackets.
When Okoye goes to guns. So primitive.
So primitive.
She
stops an entire car with a spear.
She wouldn't have even need to wear a wig. She could have just put a beret on that
Put a beret up on it.
Okay, I want to talk one more cool, which I'm sure you guys know this, but then I want to talk about that whole scene because we totally missed the first amazing scene in this movie.
Okay.
So, did you know, probably did, that Black Panther was the first black superhero in mainstream comics? He predates DC's Green Lantern as the Jon Stewart version. Ty Rock. I don't friggin' know. I wrote it down. Black Lightning. And he predates Marvel's Luke Cage and Falcon.
Right. Yeah.
So he's like...
Luke Cage is
the OG. The OG black superhero.
Yeah. I dig it.
Straight up out of Africa.
So that's why he gets his movie and Luke Cage gets a TV
Spider-Man
shows.
too?
There is a Black Spider-Man now. There's a fair amount of black character. Falcon. He became Captain America in the comics, which is super cool.
Sam.
Sam. Good old Sam.
He's hilarious.
Sam.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of black superheroes now, but it's very cool that Black Panther is basically the original, the original mainstream one. I'm sure there were a few underdog ones from smaller comic companies.
I'm not gonna lie. When we met him in the parks, I got like kind of starstruck. I was like, "Oh, dang, it's a Black Panther."
We'll repost the pictures of Andre and Michelle because they're really funny. Michelle is literally just staring at him like she's not even smiling at the camera. She's smiling at him like, "Hi."
Well, it was that, and then there was a Dora Milaje on each side of us, so it was all three of them, and I was like, "I'm in the presence of greatness." Like I was like freaking out.
Oh my god.
And then Andre, this is the funniest thing. He always tries to make them laugh. Like we always do things to superheroes. So there's Black Panther and there's two Dora Milaje, but we don't know their names, right? So he looks at one and goes, Dora, and he goes to the other one, Milaje. And they kind of smiled, but they like didn't break character.
They didn't
I was like, get out of here, Andre.
Okay, we need to take it to Emily's favorite scene, or I guess it's not even a scene. It's like a group of scenes in this movie because it's just so fantastic. Actually, no, there's so many good scenes in this movie. I can't even do that. Anywho, let's talk
Koreans.
Pretty much. Hold on. So, in the movie, we know that Claw's a bad dude, right?
Yeah,
we know that
creepy.
Claw's bad. And we find out that Claw will be selling some of the vibranium that he had stolen from Wakanda to a third party.
Bidder.
Yeah. And it's going to go down in Korea. So pretty much what happens
casino.
is Black Panther, Nakia
And
and
Okoye.
Okoye go to Korea, and they're going to stop this transaction. But his promise to his BFF and Okoye's boyfriend, Wakabi, is that he will either kill him or bring him back for justice.
Right.
Because he is the reason that his parents
are
died,
dead.
and so many other people died in Wakanda because of the breach.
The first time that Wakanda has been breached in
Right.
history.
So they show up at this Korean casino, and it literally is like a moment out of freaking James Bond.
It's a
Yeah,
James Bond
it
scene in
is.
this movie. It's so cool.
And literally, the whole progression of the scene is James Bond.
Yes.
It
It
is
is.
so perfection. So they walk in, and Okoye is so mad because she's wearing the wig, which is hilarious.
I love her.
But I
It's so
love it
funny.
because the way that they're costumed. One of them is in green, one's in black, and one's in red. And and later on, came out that was supposed to be like the representation of the Pan African flag.
Yes, it's color theory.
Which is super cool. I like that. So they spread out around the casino, and then they find out that the freaking buyer is the American CIA agent, Agent Ross, played by
Ross.
Freeman.
I love
played
him.
by Martin Freeman, who hands down is my favorite British actor.
Yeah,
and
He does a good job in this movie.
He's great.
he's literally hands down
Yes.
all the way across.
When Shuri goes, oh great, another white boy from Spain.
He's my favorite. I appreciate it because he becomes the only white actor in this film,
Yeah.
like of importance.
Besides Claw. Claw dies early
But
on.
Claw
though.
Claw gets
gets-
knocked off.
Yeah.
But Ross goes in and becomes like this little short white dude in
He's
this
like, "Is this
African
Wakanda?"
beautiful
Yes.
area. But that's my accent problem again. Why can't we
No.
just have my friends be British?
Okay,
I
like-
know he's for the CIA, but come on.
His accent, it like really bothered me for like the first 5 minutes he was there, but then it grew on me.
It
and
was-
I,
it's
I,
better-
I stopped noticing it.
It's
never
better than
bothers me.
Cumberbatch.
Yeah, better than Cumberbatch's.
All right, so this is more kind of like a question towards you, Andre, and you guys may kind of chime in.
You
His
two over
last name
Ross?
Ross.
wasn't the General in the
Thunderbolt
Hulk
Ross.
was Ross?
Yeah.
What the heck is going on there? Because they kept
Listen,
bugging me throughout the
There can only be
entire
so many
movie.
names, okay?
No,
That is not
it
true.
Supposed to be the same guy.
No, it's definitely not supposed to be the same guy. These are two distinct comics characters
Okay.
that aren't related to each other at
Okay.
all. Yeah.
That was
He works for
irksome.
CIA.
That was irksome to me.
Good old Thunderbolt. He works for the army.
Oh, the way I was kind of picturing it was, Thunderbolt got beat. He was at that bar. He was, beaten down to, rock bottom, changed his ways, then became Agent Ross.
I didn't even think about it till just now, but both of them are in Captain America: Civil War.
Yep, that's true.
Everett Ross
Wait a
and
minute.
Thunderbolt Ross, because he's becomes the senator, the Secretary of State.
Yep.
And he's giving them the Sokovia Accords.
Yep.
Two Rosses.
That's true.
One movie.
All
You
right,
know,
so here's
there's
the
two
deal.
Rosses, two hands.
Hey,
There's a lot.
That's a mind-blowing moment for me because I did not figure he became the senator.
Right. Yeah.
And
They
he did,
never
right?
they never really mention it. Like I think in Captain America: Civil War, Tony Stark he like knows him, but
Yeah.
they didn't say where he knew him from or.
Same actor.
I don't
still?
watch the whole
Yeah, same actor.
That
Really?
white
Yeah.
dude, right?
Yeah,
the
the white
annoying
dude.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the mustache.
How did I miss that, man? That whole
It's
movie
because
must have been that
the Hulk
terrible.
wasn't there, and
It must
So
have
it was
been
like,
that
what ifs?
terrible.
Yeah.
And wait, doesn't he ask? And
he asked, "Where's the Hulk and where's Thor?" And
Because
they're
that's his obsession is the Hulk.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
huh.
I remember
You want to
that.
know
now.
my
Wow.
favorite Agent Ross moment though from this movie? Is when he's
Mind-blowing.
trying to talk to M'Baku and he's just like,
you do not speak one more word, and we will eat or feed you to my children.
but just the look on his
Just
face
kidding,
when he
we're
starts
vegetarian.
barking at him is like, what the heck is going on?
Well, and one of my favorite things, and I brought this up on purpose, is like I said, he's my favorite. I just love him in his little short, amazing acting. But it was funny because he was, what do you call it? He was interviewed, Martin Freeman was, and it said, in response to being asked what it felt like being one of the only few non-black actors on the set of Black Panther, Martin Freeman said, you think, right? This is what black actors feel like all the time.
All the time, yes.
And I was like,
Oh,
It's
yeah.
amazing that this movie is like 99% black cast. It's awesome.
there's like two people that aren't. Claw,
Right,
the
Claw.
bad guy, and then
That's like
Ross,
it.
And then Ross.
the helper.
Yes, and in the comics, Ross, it's very interesting. There's an entire run of Black Panther where Ross becomes like a liaison for Wakanda. Like T'Challa comes to America and he meets Ross and then takes him to Wakanda for some reason. And then so the whole book is through Ross's eyes, seeing Wakanda as this like this crazy utopia of a place.
El Dorado, pretty much.
Yes, and he's just like a dumb old white guy that got placed there, and it's great the entire time.
I really appreciate it though, because I think it was a nice juxtaposition to see that literally flop in our Hollywood cinematic eyes. That's not normally how we see. You know, you have like the token black character. It's like, and then they die in the first.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, come on.
Andre and I were watching the like bloopers on the DVD that you guys gave us, and it's so funny because I feel like literally all of the background stuff is just everybody getting it, dancing. They're like, It's hilarious.
So hold on, we have to finish with that scene. So pretty much,
scene.
So the casino scene is great because it ends up in a shootout, pretty much. You see people flying from banisters up to the bottom of the casino.
There's a whole like one shot sequence where it like pans up to the upstairs portion and Okoye starts throwing wigs at people and just wielding the heck out of her staff spear. She's
amazing.
She takes down like 13 dudes in
she literally
in
with a
go,
stick
without breaking a step.
My favorite thing about her is that she literally floats through the air. Like she'll jump from one spot to another so seamlessly. I'm like, what the heck is this girl got in her system? I need it.
She's awesome.
She's like, I used to be a ballerina after I was chopping off dead heads, right? She was shown, right?
Yes.
In The Walking Dead.
In Walking Dead, Tanaya Guerrera.
Well, my mom watched this for the first time. She's like, this lady, I know her. Where's she from? Where's she from? Like the whole movie. And then Louise finally was like, it's Michonne. And she's like, oh, that's why I love her. It's Michonne.
Oh, that's funny.
But anywho, so then they end up getting into a like Royale Street chase.
They go on a chase, and it's the best action scene in the movie.
Well, and it's the best chase scene I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent of like is it Tokyo Drift?
Yeah.
Am I wrong
Fast
in saying
and the Furious.
that? It's Fast and the Furious, but also Bondi still
Yeah.
because it's dark and it's very beautifully
funny.
And there's a lot of tech involved.
Yes.
I love
Shuri gets to
when,
control the car.
Yeah.
That is one of the coolest things. Let's stop there. She is literally in Wakanda and she is driving remote control-y the car that Black Panther is riding on top of.
It's so cool. No one's in the driver's seat of that car except for Shuri, who is thousands of miles away.
And so she's going around, and then Okoye and Nikita are in a car behind or around them, and literally she's throwing her spear off the top of the car, stopping other cars just with the sheer mass of her staff.
Out. And then their car gets blown up at one point, and she flies into the air, throws her spear down, gets on like the hood of the car and slides while Nakia's just like in the driver's seat still and it's just sliding on the ground. It's
hilarious.
So cool.
I think
so much good physical comedy in that scene.
And
it's
this is
fantastic.
the perfect transition into a different conversation. Claw goes in the scene. He's like, what is this, a funeral? Put on some music. And then
he's actually kind of funny.
It is, yeah.
He's hilarious. He's very funny. And then that's like one of my favorite songs in the movie. But the music in this movie. I'm pretty sure Andre and I listened to the soundtrack, the Kendrick Lamar one, for, ages.
Yeah, I still listen to it.
It's fantastic.
You want to get into that?
It's
about
really
the music?
It's very interesting. I think Ryan Coogler, he wanted to put a soundtrack together, and he approached Kendrick Lamar about it. And Kendrick Lamar was like, I don't know if I want to make music for this Disney movie, superhero stuff. And then he got to see, I don't know if he saw an advanced screening or if he just read the script, but Kendrick Lamar was so moved by it that he was like, okay, we're getting everybody on this. He got
all about this.
Yes, and he put a crazy amount of work into it, and he ended up putting out his own album and then this Black Panther album within like 3 or 4 months of each other, and they're both
insane.
But
so good.
I don't know if you guys have actually listened to the Black Panther album through.
No, not all the way through.
You have to. It's so good. It has like rap songs, right? But everything is like tied into the movie. So a lot of the songs at the beginning, he's talking like. There's one song where he's like, I am T'Challa. And he talks at the beginning, and then the song is like related to how T'Challa would feel.
A lot of them
and
are
then
from
the next
perspective
song he's talking, he's like, I am Kilmonger, blah,
T'Challa
blah, blah.
and Kilmonger.
And then it goes into a song that's like from the perspective of Kilmonger. Like, it's absolutely amazing.
It's very cool. It's a very good
And the
concept
songs
album.
are
Well,
they're
Pray For
real
Me is my
catchy.
favorite,
Yes.
and I definitely have it on one of my bar mixes that I use at the studio. So when I'm teaching class, I'll just be like, "Woo, this my song!" And then like one other girl who's a geek like me, she's like, "This is from Black Panther." I'm like, "Yeah."
I think it's the ambulance song that I like the best. I think it's called Ambulance.
Paramedics.
Paramedics. Oh, that song
Same
gets,
biz.
I get stuck in my
Paramedics in the
head.
street.
Yeah, it's good. And
Oh,
then
it's so good.
also the score to this movie is really good.
Beautiful.
It's really cool how they mixed like traditional superhero heroic
Yes.
horns and symphony with like
African.
traditional African drums and stuff like that, and it all sounds really really good.
Just so y'all know, I don't know if we've ever talked about this on the podcast, but I never knew that I knew or had at least seen Andre before high school, but he used to play the steel pan drums back in the day.
Right.
Yeah, he did.
And in junior high, for some reason, my junior high went over to his stank junior high.
Listen, you can't compare our junior highs. I never went to your junior high.
Yeah, yours
so
was stank.
whatever.
Anywho, we went over to their junior high, but they were playing these cool steel pan drums, and I remember the only black dude over there getting it.
getting it, playing under the boardwalk.
Right?
What?
Let's be real. Andre should have been in this movie because oh my gosh.
So long story short, that's what I remember about Andre now.
And you
gonna
were
buy
playing.
him one.
You were playing the handbells.
You know what? Handbells are
Super cool.
so cool.
Andre,
You mean the triangles?
Shut up.
Basically.
You know what? Handbells are cool. Not as cool as steel pan drums.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'm embarrassed. Let's stop talking about it.
but every time I think it's the ritual combat scene, the songs before that where they're basically just like bouncing. Andre was getting it the whole time.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's
I
all
would
good.
love to see
I
a
feel like-
Wakandan attraction in
Disneyland,
California Adventure. or
It'd
something.
almost be like the boat ride. You know how they have the Avatar boat ride in Avatar Land? I guess is what you
Avatar
call it.
Land?
They could
Yes.
do it like that, and you like go through the story of Wakanda
Yeah, I
That'd be
mean,
cool.
I just think
Avatar Land?
in Disney World.
in Disney World.
Oh.
Yeah, they got a whole.
so. It's not called Avatar Land.
It's
Well, I haven't been there, so it doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Pandora.
There we go.
Pandora.
I was waiting for y'all trying to get there.
I couldn't
Um,
get there. Couldn't get
saw
there.
that movie once in 2009.
They could totally do that. Have waterfalls everywhere. It'd be nice.
Oh, I think it would be really cool to see what they could do with the music and the costuming and everything in a live setting.
Right,
Or
yeah.
even if they did like I don't want it to be a musical, but even if they did like a stage adaptation,
Yeah.
that would be super cool. Because I remember when I was younger, we used to do like choir tours and stuff in Disneyland. Did you ever go when we would like sing in Disneyland, Andre?
No, I
I
never
did.
went. 'cause
I think-
I was foolish. Didn't want to pay the money.
Well, you're silly.
I
Anyhow,
went.
one time we went to it was at the Hyperion Theater where they now do Frozone, and they
Frozone?
yes, Frozone.
Frozone.
And it was when the Aladdin show was still there.
Where's my super suit?
Can you imagine? Frozen in the closet. Anywho, we went, and part of like the awards ceremony that they did with the Heritage Music Festival was they did like an adaptation, excuse me, of the Lion King. But it was like a different type than just like the Lion King Broadway show, and it totally, now that I think about it, would be so cool to see that
If they did
similar
that
type
with-
of thing
with Black Panther?
With Black Panther, which is like, them fighting and dancing and doing like a ritual combat thing.
Right.
It'd be
Yeah.
super cool. Even if it was just like a short 30-minute thing, I think
Yeah.
that
Just a
people
ritual
would,
combat show. I'm about
Yeah.
it.
people would be with it.
That'd be awesome.
I volunteer as tribute.
Seriously, it's like someone out of the audience has to fight Black Panther.
Oh, me. Beat me up.
Beat me up
kill
one time.
me.
That'd be so fun. But yes, the music is so good, and now I'm gonna listen to the soundtrack later, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, soundtrack's good.
that?
Andre, do you want to talk about the Michael Kruger?
Michael Kruger.
Isn't that who wrote this? Michael Kruger. What's his name?
The director's name is Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler.
Michael Kruger. It's Freddy Krueger's younger brother.
Played by Michael B. Jordan.
Anyways,
I'm dying right now. I
Ryan
can't.
Coogler, because
Ryan
you were
Coogler.
watching like a documentary thingy last
Michael
night.
Yes.
Kruger.
Ryan Coogler is he's a very young but very accomplished director. He directed Creed and Fruitvale Station, both also with Michael B. Jordan.
which I haven't seen Creed, but Fruitvale Station. Whoa,
I haven't seen Fruitvale Station, but I have seen Creed.
I've seen neither.
And
whoa.
wow, I like Creed, which I think was like his movie right before this movie.
It
Black
was
Panther.
very recent.
Creed is a movie that's it's set in an already established universe. It's part of the Rocky universe.
Yes, it is.
Of movies.
Yes, it is.
But it's a completely new adaptation with a completely new main character. Adrian. But Ryan Coogler does such a good job of setting up a black character in this movie as a legacy character of Rocky's ultimate rival, Apollo Creed. And the whole movie, it's very good in a very similar way to Black Panther, that tells the story of this guy who came up under this legacy of another dude that he has to live up to, and is trying to prove himself to everyone without having to depend on the legacy of his father. And it's very powerful, and there's a lot of good action scenes. and Ryan Coogler is such an accomplished director that coming into this one, getting the budget that a Marvel movie lets you have, makes Black Panther such a more beautiful and stylistic film.
Oh, for sure.
I
Can you
like it.
imagine if the other films had that kind of budget or
Right.
what he could have done with it?
Yeah.
Because Fruitvale Station came out before that, and it's about the shooting that happened on the BART station, which is
that one.
It really
Okay.
hits home because we don't live in the Bay Area,
We
but
ride
we're
the
so
BART a
close.
lot.
We ride the
We're
BART
very
all the
close,
time.
yeah.
And you pass the Fruitvale
I've
Station.
been to Fruitvale Station several times.
Do you know what I mean? And it's about how, a gentleman gets shot there and all of the controversy that went along with it. And so it's Michael B. Jordan going through his life up until the moment where he, as the character, is
Gets
shot. And it's very powerful.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful because he does such a good job as a director, not making it. It's like he makes the statement and then leaves you with the statement.
Right.
He doesn't pound it into your head where you're like, I get it.
Yeah.
He just needs one line. One line.
He does it, and then he's like, okay, now mull that over. I'm gonna walk
Right.
away now. And
Yeah.
that's to me much more beautiful than shoving it down your throat.
And honestly, Michael B. Jordan is such an amazing actor. I think it's funny that he's been in all 3 of his movies.
The
Is that what
dude,
you said?
yeah, exactly, all 3.
He's Helena
Fruitvale
Bonham
Station.
Carter. Helena Bonham Carter for
What's
Mr.
his
Burton.
name? Yeah, Tim Burton.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
He'll be my Helena Bonham Carter. He'll be my Johnny Depp.
Oh,
What?
we got
Hey.
some Easter eggs.
I do. So these are, a lot of the Easter eggs in this movie are just callbacks to the comics. It's not really
Yeah.
we see.
That's how the Marvels are.
We don't see a little A113 in the corner or something,
Right.
which would be fun, but
Yeah.
we
I
don't.
don't know, do we?
Not that
Right.
I have found. A lot of people, which is funny because I remember Michelle having this conversation early on, and actually some of our listeners did. Disney for Two on
yeah.
Instagram had asked us this question, but they were asking us about the similarities between this movie and The Lion King.
Literally the Lion King.
See, I do not feel that
You
way.
don't feel it. You don't
I
see
do.
it.
No, I do not feel it, but a lot of people do. So they say that they feel like almost not every shot, but all of the iconic shots are nods to The Lion King.
Yeah.
Especially the conversation with his dad when he goes into the ancestral plane.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
exactly.
exactly what I think of.
Right. T'Challa's relationship with T'Chaka kind
Very
of
similar.
mirrors Simba's relationship with Mufasa.
At least in the beginning,
I'm pretty sure
the
when
emulation
I came out of the
part.
theater,
Yes.
I was like, "Wow, that was very similar to the Lion King."
Yeah, that was the first thing I heard you say.
Themes,
Yeah.
and stuff. But
Yeah.
yes, there were shots like the sunsets and things like that where I was like, "Wow, this looks Lion King-esque, but real world Lion King-esque." I like it.
Yeah. The whole idea of legacy and taking up the mantle.
Father's legacy.
Yeah.
Someone's trying to take over my throne, but
That's
I need
all
it.
there.
Circle of life, y'all.
Circle of life.
So-
Nakia whooping his butt. I'm sure that would be part
I
of it.
know, right? Nala, Nakia.
Nala, yeah.
I don't think that's
Exactly,
Circle-
yeah.
Yeah, I see very similar
Ross
things.
is Zazu. It's all there.
Ross is totally Zazu, though.
Then what is Claw is the hyenas.
Yeah.
He's all hyenas.
Right. And Kilmonger is Scar. Yeah.
Yeah, there you
A
go.
relative who tries to take over.
Boom. Boom.
Okay.
Cousin, uncle. It's
Yeah.
all the same
It's
thing.
all the same stuff.
It's all the same stuff. So that's one of the Easter eggy type things. Similarly, we already talked about the self-lacing shoes from Back to the Future,
Oh,
which was
so
a
cool.
nod. Apparently, one of my favorite Shuri things, what are those? When she's talking about
Yeah.
the sandals.
Yes.
Apparently, that's a reference to a Vine video that ended up being a meme.
Yeah.
Where it was like a cop wearing these weird shoes, which I watched the video. They weren't that weird, but whatever.
They were weird enough.
A person was videotaping the
get
cop,
memed.
and the cop was like mad, and they're like, "What are those?" And so they put it in the movie, which I thought was funny. And apparently, those sandals are Alexander McQueen's shoes,
Oh.
like the costume designer dude.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like actually,
I like those sandals,
they-
man. I would have worn them.
They were like actually his sandals. That's really funny.
I wanted those sandals.
The white wolf that we hear about in this movie, who's Bucky.
Yes.
Apparently, he was adopted brother. He was an adopted brother in some parts of the comic book universe.
Right. I believe the White Wolf was like a white guy who was raised by T'Chaka. I think he's actually older than T'Challa, but since he wasn't Wakandan, he couldn't go up for king.
Mm-hmm.
So he became this character called the White Wolf, who I think
Kinda
was
like a war dog, maybe.
yeah, kind of. I think he was mostly a good guy, but ended up becoming a villain every
So
once
he was
in a
Loki.
while. Yeah, kind of like
Okay.
Exactly.
He's
He was
he's
Loki.
adopted.
Adopted, not accepted.
Right.
You're not going to be king.
Exactly.
Boom. A really cool thing is that young T'Chaka, the one that we see in the beginning of the film, is actually played by T'Chaka Elder's son.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Him too?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because Zuri is exactly the same.
Mhm.
Forrest Whitaker's son played him as a young.
yes, so
as a
both
young guy.
sons were playing their quote unquote
Oh.
younger selves, which
That's
is,
so
I think is
cool.
really cool. Which Forrest Whitaker's son, that dude, is amazing in the O.J. Simpson show. Isn't he the?
Who is he in the O.J.
Is he not the lawyer? Is he not the lawyer? Who is he then? Oh man, you're
Well-
right. It's not the Durinder.
Killmonger's dad is in that show, right? Sterling K. Brown.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
No, I'm not talking about the other dude.
Gotcha,
I'm talking
okay.
about Killmonger's
Yes,
dad.
yes, yes.
Ooh,
Yes,
he's a good actor.
That O.J. Simpson versus what's it called? The America versus O.J. Simpson, whatever it's called.
Everyone versus OJ.
Yeah,
He is a fantastic
Time you say
character. in the
OJ, I
movie.
think of orange juice.
he's the juice.
White Bronco. Why is it got to be white? Anywho, obviously, like we talked about, there's a large Bond influence in this film, and that was intentional
Yes.
because apparently the director just digs Bond.
Yeah,
Who
Cooper
doesn't?
loves
It was
James
cool.
Bond, yeah.
We talked about M'Baku being the man ape in the comics. One of the things that they try to do as a kind of like a tableau type thing is T'Challa's fight with M'Baku in the beginning. His ritual combat was in the morning, and then like signifying
dawn.
like his coming to kingdom, right? And then his fight with Killmonger was at sunset,
dusk.
so it was like a big old like
Fall
circle
from
of life,
grace.
like.
It's a circle of
Right, I just tried to bring it
life.
back for you. There you go. Now it really is.
I think one of my favorite Easter eggs, it's not even Easter egg, but it's funny, when Shuri goes to California and she's like, I thought when you said you were taking me to California, we are going to go to like Coachella or maybe Disneyland.
That's when she reminds me of my little sister more than anyone else. Always trying to get me to take her to Disneyland.
I know she's over here like we're in Oakland next to an abandoned building.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's scheduled for
Fun.
demolition. This is ridiculous. And this one's really interesting. He's Black Panther himself is a character who has most been part of almost every Marvel super team. Does that make sense?
Yes.
He is like all up in all the
He's
super
been
teams.
on the Fantastic Four. He's been in the Avengers. He's probably been in the Defenders.
He was in the Defenders. Apparently there was the Fantastic Force.
Yes.
Force. And he's an honorary X-Men because
he married Storm.
he married Storm.
He
So-
married
And
Storm?
Illuminati. right?
And
Yes,
he's in the
and
Illuminati.
Wait,
So-
is he part of the X-Force, though?
No, not the X-Force.
Oh, okay.
No, but
not in
he's
that
all
one.
up in all those other ones.
Yes.
Like,
Dang.
yeah. He might as well be a Guardian of the Galaxy, too, because he's just all up in
Take me
these.
to space.
I'd be in the space.
Get the cat in space.
And at one point, this is really cool. At one point, apparently, in the comic books, he took over for Daredevil in Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, dude.
So, like, he's,
Yes, Black Panther of
Dang,
Hell's
what the
Kitchen.
heck, Black Panther?
Yeah.
he's just legit.
He's got a lot of stuff
Oh,
going
and
on.
he's the king of the dead. Did you know that?
Oh, I
The
No,
don't
king
he's
of the
not
dead.
Hades.
No, not like that. So apparently, hold on, pause.
Yeah, I don't know about this.
No, pause. I have words on this.
She has proof.
I have word proof.
I have.
Apparently, in Wakanda, there's a city of the dead known as the Necropolis. And we know this a little bit. The remains of every Black Panther who has ever held the title before T'Challa rest in Necropolis. And someday his body and spirit will be there too, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
Until then, though, the Panther has a pretty sweet deal. He's the king of the dead, and he receives the honorific from Bast, the Panther God. He also gains the knowledge, skills, and power of the Black Panthers before him.
Gotcha.
So he's like the like
living
gatekeeper
embodiment of
all those dead Panthers,
Interesting.
which is pretty cool.
It's really
That is pretty cool.
So
Okay.
he's not like Hades, Lord of the Dead, but he's like he could be
A
Lord of the
knowledgeable Lord of the Dead,
Yes.
kind of.
Lord of the Panthers. But speaking of that Jamaican accent that I keep using as an African accent,
Bushmaster.
Bushmaster.
Bushmaster rum.
If you've seen Luke Cage season 2, you'll know that the bad guy in that Bushmaster, he auditioned that actor whose name I will find in a moment.
Bushmaster.
The Bushmaster
That,
rum.
that actor, he auditioned for Black Panther, and
No, M'Baku.
he auditioned for the movie Black Panther in
Oh.
the role of M'Baku, but didn't get it. But they liked him a lot, the powers that be at Marvel, and
So they casted him as the cool old Bushmaster in the Luke Cage.
Yeah.
But
The
another
Luke Cage.
one of the cool things about this movie is that the accents were very deliberate. So apparently Wakandans, like where they placed Wakanda in the African map, it is supposed to be. Now I'm going to mess this up. How do you say the name of their language?
Osa.
Okay, it's Xosa. One more time.
Oh.
One more time.
Messed up. Osa.
Okay, see, there you go.
They do a lot of clicking in this movie.
And the
Yes.
cool
He
thing
does.
about that is that it's found in Zimbabwe, South Africa area, which apparently is like kind of where they placed Wakanda.
Okay.
But the Jabari, they speak the Igbo tongue, and that's in like the southwest Nigeria. So they're like making sure that the accents are somewhat relevant to where they're placed, which I think is really cool.
Which is very
Witness
cool.
the power of the Jabari tribe firsthand. I think I would like to be a Jabari, except they're kind of cold because it's snowy.
Yeah, it's cold, and they ain't got no Komodo beads. No
That's
thanks.
true. They're dying from frostbite up there.
No meat either. Goodbye.
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 I'm not living off of seeds and
Sorry,
leaves.
Jabari.
Okay,
not for
so
me.
before we wrap this up, I have one question to pose because it's been on my mind, and I think we need to discuss it. Apparently, there ain't no more purple herb. No more.
That's right.
No more heart-shaped
Heart-shaped
herb
herb
to
is
turn
gone.
people into Black Panthers. And in this most recent movie called Infinity War, the Black Panther, spoiler alert.
Nah, don't spoil it.
Okay.
Things may have happened.
Yeah, don't spoil it.
Okay,
But
well, listen. Then how is there ever going to be a Black Panther
I'm
now?
gonna tell you, one of those ladies that was up in that like little purple flower
The garden.
place, they cut off a flower and it's in their pocket.
right. That's an easy answer. I think a more complicated answer would be that they mine some of the vibranium and do a new technological use for it, where they
You become vibranium.
or they like, because like the heart-shaped herb comes from the earth that was like impregnated with vibranium,
Exactly.
right? So I think that if they do like a little deconstruction process, they can turn the vibranium back into earth and grow it into
Why
a
not,
new
right? Like a
plant-shaped herb
fertilizer
or something
almost.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a very far-fetched theory.
Whatever.
My far-fetched theory is if time travel is supposed to be part of Avengers 4,
Okay.
just like another company, Flashpoint, everything goes back, they change the past, and therefore the herb was never really destroyed. That's my far-fetched theory.
I mean, that makes sense. I don't like using time travel to change everything.
That it bothers me because
You
then
know?
it's an easy cop out writing wise.
Right.
It's like,
It
oh,
is, but
well
I
then,
mean, does
well
it
then
not-
nothing happened.
Oh,
well then, why did I
that
watch
didn't
that whole
happen.
movie? Like, why did I have emotions?
Does
That's
it not
stupid.
make sense in the butterfly effect, though? It's not as if it's something that's
Yeah,
written
but why
out.
we
It
going
depends
back?
on
We
how
ain't going
far they
back
go
that
back.
far.
Yeah.
How far back we going?
It don't matter.
We going back 20 years. Why don't we all just die?
It don't
I'm
matter.
never born.
Never
Don't
killed
matter.
Njobu.
You never know. You never know.
We'll just go all the way back and we'll pick up young Eric and we'll just take him back to
Yes.
Wakanda. We'll
All
fix
right, all
the
right.
whole damn thing.
The lazy theory goes with my theory. The more advanced, more mature, and elegant
thinking.
theory goes with Andre's
Thank
theory.
you.
And mine is the one that probably happened. That lady was like,
lady
oh
just,
no,
like,
man, I'm just going to
Plucked a
cut one
couple.
of those off.
Yeah.
You tripping, boo. Because that's what Nakia did. She
Yeah.
went in there, stole one, and was like, hey, get one in your pocket.
or she-
Nakia must have been wearing sneakers.
Or she's just like, You told me to burn all these flowers. You didn't tell me to burn the seeds, dog. I got a bunch of seeds over here. I'm just gonna plant some more.
You should have been more specific.
He
Killmonger.
said to kill the flower.
Bro.
That's good. I like that.
Let's talk the money.
This movie made a lot of money.
Yeah, it did.
It's still making money.
Yeah.
There is no way to calculate the money it is still making.
So this movie had a budget of $200 million.
Oh.
Quite a fair amount.
That's a budget.
Its opening weekend, it made $202 million.
Oh, that's fine.
Boom.
Ba-boom.
You get two booms.
In the U.S., it grossed $699 million.
Jesus.
Almost $700 million. And then across the globe, foreign, it made $646 million.
So was that plus? Like 6 plus 6?
That's plus. It has
So
a
it's a couple
cumulative
billion.
worldwide gross of $1.3 billion. I believe it's like...
That doesn't even include merch or nothing. That's just movie
Right,
money.
yeah, that's just movie money. I think...
They can take my
it's like
movie money.
the 9th highest grossing movie of all time or something like that. I don't have those numbers, but...
I'm just going to throw it out there
Jeez.
that
It's
this
up there.
movie is a movie in our podcast little history here.
Yeah.
It is the movie that has come out the soonest that we have
That we've discussed.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it just came out this year and we're discussing it. Most of the other movies are like either a year or longer older that we
couldn't
discussed.
wait, man. We couldn't.
We couldn't wait, but for those types of numbers, and we're really only like 5 or 6 months away from its opening, that is insanity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ish a lot.
Good for them. One of my favorite things were all the memes that came out of this freaking movie, like Wakanda Forever. You literally just saw Wakanda Forever everywhere, all the time.
Yeah, every time I play HQ, there's people commenting Wakanda Forever.
Wakando?
Wakando.
Wakanda Forever.
I like to rent a Wakando.
Ooh,
Wakando.
Oh my god, we could open up a hotel that's like Wakanda, but it's called a Wakando, and you stay there, and it's
No, but that reminds me of that other hotel. What's the hotel movie in Africa that ended badly?
Hotel Rwanda.
Yeah, Rwanda.
Oh gosh, no!
It rhymes with Wakanda. See, we don't need that.
Get out of here!
That's what it made me think of.
What is
Nobody's
it,
going to want to stay at our Wakando.
Rotten tomato.
Oh yes. Some
Wakando.
good old
Wakando. I
Little
live in the
meters.
Wakando.
on IMDb, this movie has a 7.5 out of 10,
Really?
which is,
Huh.
okay.
Okay, IMDb, shut up.
But on Rotten Tomatoes, this movie boasts a score. How come I never have this up? Why did I have to-
Andre,
and I have to-
like
and I
seriously, you have
vamp?
one job.
This
Nobody
movie-
else has a computer in front of them but you, dude.
This movie, y'all got phones. You could look it up. This movie has a score of 97% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's pretty
Fresh.
good.
Tell me that's not like funny though. Like almost every other movie that we watch, the Rotten Tomato score, or the Rotten Tomato score and the IMDb score are very similar.
Yeah.
This one is pretty freaking
And the
different.
audience
disparity.
score on Rotten Tomatoes says 79%.
Right. And on Metascore, it has an 88 out of 100.
So what? We're like
over.
in between like A and C.
It's
Like
got
that's an issue.
Some fluctuation there, but
Anyways.
very good in my book. Very good.
You know what I really like too is that, and I know I kind of touched on this earlier, but there's no one who I have heard or seen in the interwebs, regardless of their nationality, their background, their color, whatever. Everyone likes this movie.
Right.
Like it's not like just black people like this
That's
movie.
good.
Like everybody and their mother likes this movie.
Right.
Well,
I love
honestly,
it.
It's
this
a movie
woman
for
appeals
everyone.
to just this woman
This
appeals.
What is wrong with you?
This movie appeals to women too.
Oh yeah.
Because I think that's what I really got out of it was like the strong woman character thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah.
No, I just got all the
three
abs that were in this movie.
strong
I got lots of
female
pectorals.
characters.
Lot of-
All that too, you know.
All the soon to be Disney dads up in this movie.
Soon to be Disney dads. Stop it. There's some hot mamas in this movie
Yeah,
too.
minus T'Challa. No, T'Chaka though.
At one point,
He's the real Disney dad, and I am about it.
at one point in the casino scene, Nakia, she's like running up the stairs, and like her thighs are coming out of her dress, and it's just nice.
Hey, this is not cracking the vault, sir.
Andre like
Get out of here. Rate this movie.
This movie.
This is not Nakia thigh rating
from
either.
me. There's not a lot wrong with this movie. It's
Agreed.
It's very good. It's very perfect.
It's very
So,
perfect.
you gave
It's
it a
very
10.
perfect. I'm literally trying to think of any reason that
You
I
gave it a very
couldn't-
perfect. Those are
couldn't
two
give it a
words that
10.
don't go together.
I will
Very perfect.
I will say one and this is a minor criticism, that in the comics, the Dora Milaje, they're all women, which they are in this movie. But because of that, because they're so close together, there's a lot of like lesbian relationships that happen in the Dora Milaje, and that's not touched upon at all in this movie. Like Okoye, I believe in the comics, Okoye and not Nakia, but the other one, I think her name is like Aja or something like that. They have a lesbian relationship, and that would have been nice to see in a movie that already has a lot of representation.
But I don't know if it was too relevant to the storyline that they would have gotten into it a lot.
No, but it was more about
her love story ended up affecting the storyline a little bit.
Yeah,
so
a little bit.
They could have just altered that ever so slightly.
Yeah.
So that's a small criticism. But regardless of that, I think I am going to give this movie a 10.
What?
Are
you, though?
It's very, very good.
Very good.
Very good.
Very
lots
good.
of great action. Lots of fantastic performances all around. All the actors did very good.
I'm going to rate this movie in relation to other Marvel movies.
Why? We're rating the movie, not the Marvel universe.
But a 10 for Little Mermaid is different than a 10 for a Marvel movie. You know what I
so
mean?
what would you, when you saw this movie, what would you give it?
I'm going to give it a 10.
Okay.
But for an action movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I give it a 10. For like a superhero action movie, it's a 10. Because you're like, wait, you gave this a 10, but you gave Little Mermaid a 10? Well, yeah, Little Mermaid's a 10, man. But so is this movie. Because it doesn't make sense if I was like, Little Mermaid's a 10, and so is Black Panther. Like, they're
different types of movies.
They're different types of 10s.
And you enjoy them for different reasons.
They're different 10s, but they're both 10s.
Well, I mean, I could say you were a 10 and Andre's a 10, but for different reasons.
I want to be where the Wakandans are.
Ooh, I'm about
I want to see some vibranium.
Yeah.
I give it a 10. Go, Emily.
Giving it a 9.5. Boom.
9.
Because you know how I feel about non-perfect movies.
Right,
but
yeah.
it's great. There's no problems. One of my favorite parts is how, like, Claw be dead pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like we went, we liked him, we disliked him, he was dead. Like, it was a very good thing. And one of my favorite scenes in the movie, I know I said that every freaking 5 seconds, but we didn't talk about it, is when they end up stealing, right in the beginning of the movie, the first time you see Kilmonger, they're in a museum, and he's going in to steal a piece of pretty much a what do you call that? Like a mismonikered item. It said it was from a different part of Africa, and he's like, "Nah, that's Wakandan." Like,
actually vibranium.
Like, I know all about that. And so he employs Claw. He gets him in there, and it's hilarious. Like, their whole like heist situation.
It's real. They make a pretty good team.
Oh, it's hilarious. But I love his interaction with the museum curator. He's pretty much like, he shows her up in almost like a very articulate way, and he tells her, like, I know you think what you know is true, but I'm going to tell you that you've been looking at me sideways the entire time I've been in here, and I actually know more than you do, so I'm going to need you to back up.
He's like, I'm going to take this off your hands. And she's like, these items aren't for sale. He's like, oh, were they for sale when y'all stole them, your ancestors? I don't think so. And then
I don't think so.
And then he poisons her coffee.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good mic drop if you ask me.
It's
like,
a little bit intense, yeah.
I'm going to take this off your hands and your life. You're welcome.
Okay, bye. Louise.
Hi, Auntie. That's also my second favorite.
Oh, yes. Hi, Auntie.
I'm going to give it a 9.
9.
Yeah.
9.
No, that was good.
9.
It was just, I guess I'm going to do this and compare it to other movies. Compared to other movies, it just wasn't a 10 for me. Because I have a very close 10 that we have yet to discuss.
It's hard.
So
It's
me,
hard when you
9.
start comparing movies. I do
It's
it
true.
too.
Yeah.
I do it all the time, and I have to like take myself out of my own brain. Like, this movie, not compared to this movie, but I always.
Well,
do
and
that.
one of the really cool things about this movie is, especially for me, because I'm a hard critic and I try not to be, but when I walked out of the movie theater, I was like, ooh, good.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm like, I always have something to say. And this one I was like, good. So,
good.
Yeah.
Good.
You know what's also good?
Baku.
You know what's also good?
Oh, yeah.
That.
I don't know what song that is, but I know what you're
Ooka,
talking about.
ooka, ooka,
There we
chaka,
go.
ooka, ooka.
Our next
ooka,
movie.
chaka. I can't stop this feeling
In the Marvel Universe.
deep inside of
It's
me.
set in space.
Girl, you just don't realize
What you do to me.
We're watching Guardians of the
Ooka,
Galaxy
ooka, ooka,
next
chaka.
week. Check it out. Directed
the
by
best.
James Gunn, starring Chris Pratt and a couple of other creatures.
A couple of other creatures.
A tree.
A tree.
A raccoon. Don't say
Raccoon.
that.
harpoon on the
A green
Black
lady.
Panther episode. All right, you guys,
Stop!
we'll be watching Guardians of the Galaxy next week. So tune into that. In the
There'll
meantime,
be lots of singing.
head over to our
That's why people aren't going to listen because there's a lot of
head
No,
over to
don't
our
listen.
social media. We are at the Walt Vault Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Hit us up there. Comment on the episode. We love talking to you. If you love talking to us, you can send us a DM at any one of those social media platforms, or you can send me an email to contact@thewaltvaultpod.com. I like receiving emails. And
We also, sorry.
no, go ahead.
We also want to say thank you to all you guys who wrote back on our "What movies would you like to see?"
Yes.
We were taking those
Instagram questions for the win.
Yeah, and we were taking your suggestions very seriously because
Yeah.
Andre's over here trying to do like a full. Well, Andre and Louise.
I think
are
we're
trying to
doing
do
like a whole
Sports theme
listener
month.
appreciation month or something for August. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna take those movies you guys
Yeah,
suggested,
you guys are gonna get
which
get,
are good
get your
because
wishes.
a lot of them we wouldn't have thought of, and I think we can all kind of agree that we've been picking some really great movies. So we need to get into the realm of movies we haven't seen
We
before.
gotta get into the weeds. We gotta
or-
get into some cult
the
classics
weeds.
and some some other stuff.
We gotta get in. We gotta explore.
Yeah.
So
I'm
thanks,
excited.
Thanks for your suggestions. I appreciate it.
Cool Runnings. Okay.
Jamaica got a bobsled team.
In the future, we'll see. If you want to support the Walt Vault, you can do so in several ways. You can subscribe to us, first of all. Subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube. We're on all podcast platforms. Get out there and hit subscribe. We'd like you to leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. That really helps get the podcast seen and get us into more people's ears, which is where we want to be. So you can do that. You can also shop on Amazon by going to thewaltvaultpod.com/Amazon. Click on the link, shop like normally, and a portion of your purchase will be sent to us at no additional cost to you, which is my favorite. You can also just like bookmark that link instead of going to thewaltvaultpod.com, and then you'll be helping us every time you shop on Amazon, which we greatly appreciate. Helps keep the lights on. What also helps keeps the lights on here is going to patreon.com/thewaltvault. You can sign up for as little as $1 a month and get access to our after show, A Crack in the Vault, where we talk about different aspects of these Disney movies that we're talking about. I post my notes that I write while watching the movies. Those are entertaining and graphic. And what else do we do there? Oh, if you sign up at the $5 or more level, you get a gift sent to you from us. Don't you like gifts? Gifts are great.
Michelle's doing the happy baby yoga pose on the floor,
Oh my
which is
God.
my least favorite yoga pose.
We have more things to do. She needs to get up off the floor. You guys, that's been it for this week. We thank you for listening to us. That's all for now. We'll see you next week for some Guardians goodness. The Vault.